Let me just start you out with a quote from our illustrious Vice President of the United States of America, JD Vance. While there is an all-out assault on free speech in this country at the hands of Donald Trump himself and his emissaries like the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia right here where I live, JD Vance had the gall to say this quote, among many others that we're going to cover today, yesterday on Hannity. Watch this.
Are we willing to defend people even if we disagree with what they say? If you're not willing to do that, I don't think you're fit to lead Europe or the United States of America.
What a beautiful question, JD. Are we willing to defend people even when we disagree with what they say? If you're not willing to do that, I don't think you're fit to lead in Europe or in the United States of America, says the vice president, says JD Vance. The meritless clod. Which is interesting because just this morning, just hours after this interview aired on Fox News with Sean Hannity, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social this: all federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protest. That just means protest. Any protest he doesn't like, he considers illegal. Like he said during the governor's meeting with Janet Mills, I am the law. Illegal protest. Agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on the crime, arrested. No masks! Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's an official proclamation from the President of the United States. Apparently a man, much to the chagrin of JD Vance, the liar, is not willing to defend people even when he disagrees with what they say. And he's not willing to do that, so apparently, according to JD Vance, he's not fit to lead in the United States of America. Listen to the lies, the distraction, the spinning of a narrative that it just doesn't line up with reality. Listen to JD Vance signal that he is a proponent of free speech, an advocate for the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, while repping a president that is absolutely mask off, no dog whistle, opposed to free speech, believes he is the law, and anyone who goes against what he believes is doing something that's illegal. Watch JD Vance last night with Hannity on, of course, Fox News.
That we're not allowed to debate ideas, that we're not allowed to discuss things, that we have to silence people, censor them, throw them in jail for silently praying outside of an abortion clinic. These ideas are going to destroy Western civilization. They're going to destroy Europe, and they would destroy the United States of America if we allowed them to fester. Thank God we have a president now who believes in free speech, but the danger is still there. The danger is there in Europe. The danger is there in the United States of America. We have to ask ourselves the questions as leaders. Are we willing to defend people even if we disagree with what they say? If you're not willing to do that, I don't think you're fit to lead Europe or the United States of America.
This is a classic case of do as I say, not as I do. All of the things he mentioned are practices of free speech that he believes need to be protected because they align with his worldview. Notice, he didn't say something about people who want to protect abortion clinics. He didn't say anything about people who are protesting the ongoing genocide in Gaza. He's not saying anything about that because that would step out of line to the cult leader, to the dear leader, Donald Trump. It is laughable. But also, there's an element of this that this is just JD Vance on the heels of going to the extreme right wing in Germany and coming back to the United States whining that they're not allowed to throw up Nazi salutes there while they are here. There's certainly an element of that here. That he's really upset. JD Vance, well, we can't even say the N-word anymore. People want to cancel us. There's absolutely an element of it here. But this government, under Donald Trump, this regime is absolutely not committed to free speech. He's got his U.S. attorney right here in Washington, D.C. I talked about this the other day. This is a man who's overseen the case of the death threat and rape and death threat against my wife. And who knows where that's going to go. But he posted this: as President Trump's lawyers, he's not President Trump's lawyers. His team are not President Trump's lawyers. We are proud to fight to protect his leadership. Their job is not to protect Donald Trump's leadership. He's a U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia. He's should be no fear, no favor, dispassionate administrator of justice. That's his job. He's not the president's lawyer, and he's not here to defend the fucking agenda of the president. We are vigilant in standing against entities like the AP that refuse to put America first. It's also not his job to defend companies, private organizations that don't put America first. And what he's talking about is that the AP chose to recognize the Gulf of Mexico as what it's internationally recognized as, the Gulf of Mexico. It's not the Gulf of America, but their freedom of speech, their constitutionally protected rights under our Constitution are under threat. They're under threat because they're not putting America first. How does that align with what JD Vance is saying here, most stupidly, about if you're not willing to do this, you can't lead America or Europe? That same guy, Ed Martin, you'll remember, sent letters to both a member of the House of Representatives and Chuck Schumer, threatening them with investigation and prosecution for remarks they've made relative to politics. Talking about, are we bringing a knife to a gunfight or a bar fight, I think is what Garcia said. And Chuck Schumer said, Neil Gorsuch and the members of the Supreme Court, they're going to regret this decision. None of that's violent. None of that's even metaphorically violent. But Donald Trump has no adherence to any respect or desire to protect the Constitution. And yet JD Vance, the chubby mugged couch fucker, JD Vance, has the temerity and the lack of dignity or shame. He's bent the knee. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. Called Donald Trump America's Hitler, yet he bent the knee and kissed the ring and is now first in line to the presidency of the United States when Donald Trump eventually succumbs to Big Mac sauce coursing through his veins as opposed to blood. Anyway, what do you think here? A lot of this is going on, and it's only going to get worse as Donald Trump is more emboldened and more addled in his melting brain. We will see. I'll tell you this, I'm not afraid of these goobers. There very likely will be attacks on independent media. David Pakman's been talking about it. Sam Cedar over at Majority Report's been talking about it. And we are in the crosshairs. I'm not saying me more than these others, but certainly there's an extra layer of threat here because I'm right here local. I live fewer than 2 miles from where Donald Trump lays his head every night. Anyway, what do you think? I'd love to know. I invite you to this conversation. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, as always, daily at dollemore.com. I would love to hear from you. Please consider supporting independent media while we are absolutely under threat. You can click the join button, and for $1.99 a month, you can join this movement, help me produce these videos, or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. Follow me on the social media. I'm at Dollemore. I'd love to see you there. And I will see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.